Hi, I'm April. Welcome back to my channel, Payroll, Prosecco and Pregnancy. I'm going to be talking to you about exactly how we found out that we're having twins. So, we're going for our 12-week scan a couple weeks ago, and we get there, we're all masked up because it's still post-COVID times. Lee has to wait outside until I'm called into the room because apparently there's not enough space for everybody in the waiting room. We get into this room, it's dark, and the lady is also masked, the sonographer who will be doing the scan. I lie down, we're facing the screen, Lee's on my left, and we're holding hands and waiting for the moment I've been excited about all day because I can't believe we're actually going to see the bubble. So we're looking at the screen, and then a baby appears. Like full-size baby, even though by this point I think the baby's like the size of an olive or something ridiculously small. But on the screen, this is a real life-size baby. Now, our baby's facing to the left and dancing, like feeling the vibe, moving around, and I'm just like lost for words because I mean, this is the first time we're experiencing this, and I'm like, yep, that's our baby, dancing, feeling the vibe already, and you're not even out yet. By this point, the sonographer takes her measurements and she makes her notes, and Lee and I are stroking each other's hands, and it's just like completely magical. The screen goes blank for like maybe a few milliseconds, not long at all. And then the baby is now facing the right. At which point, I'm like, wow, technology, it's 2020. They must have made like huge progress with these ultrasound scans, because how is the lady's hand still on the front of my stomach, but somehow she's now seeing our baby from the other angle? But I'm not a sonographer, so I kind of just push away my silly suspicions, as I called them at the time. The thing that did concern me though is that the baby went from dancing to lying, looking like it was almost sleeping with its thumb in its mouth. And I was like, is that normal? Is it normal for a baby to be moving like clearly quite rapidly to all of a sudden sleeping within seconds? But I wasn't going to bring any negativity to this appointment. As far as I was concerned, that was normal. At which point Lee then says to the sonographer, there's only one baby in there though, right? And in my mind I'm laughing, I'm like, silly Lee, he doesn't get it, he doesn't get technology. Of course there's only one baby in there. But I don't say any of this out loud, it is all strictly internal dialogue. The lady responds to Lee, and because she's masked, we can't see her facial expressions, which with hindsight made it easy for her to kind of hide whatever she was thinking. But she says to him that she will check if there's another baby in a minute, but she has to continue with her current measurements. She then asks Lee, why did he ask? And Lee explains that I, as in April I, have lots of twins in my family. And it's true. On my dad's side, we have twins in every single generation, but my generation has not had a single set of twins yet. Although I have many cousins with children, none of them have had twins. So she goes back to doing her measurements, and she counts another set of hands and another set of feet. Now by this point, she would have counted 2 sets of hands and 2 sets of feet. But this didn't raise any eyebrows for me. I just thought she was double checking because, as we've established, technology changed the angle. And therefore, she needed to double check her initial measurements. I'm thinking, this lady is super thorough and I'm perfectly comfortable and happy and just enjoying seeing the image of a baby on the screen. Now, she bounces the second baby up and down because it's not really moving as much as it once was, and she gets the measurements that she does. Then she takes another view, which is, I think, more from like their heads, because you can then see 2 sacs. And immediately I'm thinking, what's that second sac? It must be a part of the body that I simply didn't learn in biology, and I was a good biology student. But again, I rationalized this entire experience because we came into this room with one baby, and I was convinced we were leaving the room with only one baby. Therefore, this other sac that I must have seen must be some liver or something that I simply don't know how to recognize in an ultrasound. Again, she finishes up, she starts to clean up, and she turns around, she's facing me in the dark, and she says, "Congratulations, you guys are having twins." At which point, I say, "Fuck off," because there was nothing in my mind that was telling me that she could be telling the truth. We had just been joking with Lee about the fact that I would be to blame should we have twins, and then she almost said, "Let's look to make sure that there's not a third." And I was like, no, there is definitely not a third, which there isn't, by the way. We are only having twins. But it was a real crazy experience. Lee says that when she told us that we were having twins, I stopped stroking his hand, and he wasn't sure what I should be thinking at that point in time. But we clean up, we get the pictures, they're printed, I'm staring at them. I apologize to the lady for cursing, because I don't curse at strangers, only people that I know. And then we leave, and basically we started laughing. It's like we had a laughing fit from, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon all the way into the evening. Luckily, straight after my appointment, I was able to see my dad, and I showed him the pictures, and he didn't catch on that one baby was one direction and another baby was in another. So I shared with him the news that we were having twins, which was swiftly followed by lots of cursing on his part. And for those of you that know my dad, know that he doesn't curse, but he was so excited and going on telling Lee about all the twins in our family, and he was confused as to why we didn't have any twins yet. And I'm happy that I brought the Jackson clan back on track with another set of twins. Now, we went into this appointment knowing that my side of the family had twins, but we came out of this appointment learning that Lee also has twins in his family, and not just one set. The generation above him, 3 sets of twins, identical twins, but we didn't know until the day. Although apparently they say that it only matters on the maternal side. Now we start thinking, if we have a 3rd child, will we end up with 4 children? But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. We immediately start talking about things like, what kind of pushchairs are we going to get? Are we getting a side-by-side pushchair, an up-and-down pushchair? And now you just start thinking about everything in doubles. There is something about the twin factor. I can't really describe it, but we're still completely shocked. We still say the baby sometimes instead of the babies. And even when we speak to people, there's like baseline excitement to hear that we're pregnant. And then there's twin factor excitement, which just takes it to a whole new level. I am concerned that the sonographer said when she told us we were having twins that I'd probably have to have a C-section. And I have this dream of a natural water birth that's soothing, really calming, and not horrifically painful. So the idea of a C-section did make me nervous. But I have lots of people in my family who have given birth to twins vaginally by natural birth. So fingers crossed, I'll still be just like them. And apparently we have the safest kind of twin pregnancy. There's a fancy medical term, but I will tell you in plain English. We have 2 separate sacs and 2 separate placentas, which means that the twins aren't sharing anything, which means that they also take after me already, because they know that there's a time to share and there's a time to be selfish. So I'm very excited and still very hopeful that we'll be able to have this dream birth and not just throw the birthing plan out the window once we get into labour. In terms of how we felt after hearing the news, I think we will forever be in shock. I still don't believe that there are 2 babies growing inside of me. I feel like I'll only really believe it when they're here. And even when they're 10 years old, I'll probably still be looking at them like, oh my God, there are 2 of you. But I did feel a huge amount of relief because I had been experiencing really extreme symptoms of pregnancy. I was vomiting 3 to 4 times a day, all day. Morning sickness, I'll rant about that in another video. But it really should be renamed to all-day sickness because it doesn't just happen in the morning. I was nauseous throughout the day. I was growing a lot faster than my sister had expressed. I had no breasts, now I have breasts. I can't fit into any of my jeans, and this was early on in the pregnancy. And also the line on your stomach, which is apparently called the linea nigra, black line in Latin. Mine appeared appeared really, really early. And when I Googled what it was, basically it appears on your stomach when you have lots of hormones from growing a baby inside you, and mine came early. And the funny thing is, I did joke a lot with Lee in the beginning after we found out that we're having a baby. I was like, imagine if we have twins. You know, when I was feeling really, really sick and everybody else was telling me that they didn't have that extreme level of sickness, I would say to him, imagine if it's twins. Like, what would we do if it was twins? And although I kept saying this and putting it out there into the universe, I was only half like serious and mainly joking. So I think we should also learn from this. Be careful what you put out there in the universe, because it may just happen. So I was relieved, because I started thinking at one point, maybe I'm over exaggerating my symptoms, or maybe I'm just not very good at this pregnancy thing. So when we found out that we're having twins, I felt like I was not the problem, but it was simply me experiencing these twins before I even knew that they existed. Obviously, there is huge excitement. As I said, people get excited when they hear we're having twins, and you should just multiply that excitement by like 100. And I start trying to visualize life with 2 hands, but 2 babies at the same time. And it's both very daunting, but extremely exciting. And I think we have come to the conclusion that it's like really special experience to be able to bring 2 babies into the world at one time, and they'll forever have each other. Like, wherever they are in the world, they will forever have a bestie. And that is something that's really important to us. Shock doesn't even begin to describe, and I don't think that will go anytime soon. So until then, we'll just keep moving forward with these 2 little bubbas. In a nutshell, we're not just having 1 baby, we're having 2 babies. And it's going to be a crazy, crazy journey. I hope you'll follow along and make sure that you subscribe. And next week, I don't know what I'll be talking about, but it'll be something interesting.